this, but I'm going to be telling the story to Christian.
Okay.
About the how the peace walk started. Okay, and it goes like this. There was one afternoon. I remember it was in the afternoon, and I'm married and I have two boys. And my wife was out, probably doing something with the kids after school. And I was home alone, and I was watching PBS, and on PBS they have a program called BBC World News. And I remember I was just sitting in the couch watching the news, and they were showing images of the region north of Israel and south of Lebanon. And there was a war going on 7 years ago. In the south of Lebanon, there was a group called the Hezbollah, and they were sending missiles over the border on Israel, and kind of, dropping bombs on the civilian population most of the time. So Israel kind of decided to stop this, and they actually invaded Lebanon and to stop Hezbollah. And they were successful. They actually did stop. But naturally, whenever there's this kind of violence, there's a lot of civilians that are caught in the crossfire, right? Mm-hmm. So this guy, this reporter, he was showing a man, and I remember the man is, the memory is kind of blurred because I only saw that moment in the news. So the man he had a beard, and he was standing, or actually I think he was sitting in front of a pile of rubble, in a bombed area. And I get emotional. And he was standing in front of that pile of rubble, and the reporter said, he's waiting for the rubble to be removed so he can retrieve the body of his wife and his two sons. And I remember that all the hairs in my body just stood up. And actually I think they're standing up right now. And there was an inner voice that came to me and said, what are you going to do? It's kind of a question, kind of came up and said, what are you going to do? And I said, and I responded, when you know you're crazy when you have a conversation, that you have to, you don't only answer the questions, but you kind of engage in the dialogue. So I engaged in the dialogue, and I said, what can I do? This is happening halfway across the globe. I'm here in Coral Springs. I cannot do anything. And but there was this persistence in the question. So I looked at the guy, and he didn't have any sort of reaction. I think that they call this kind of state a kind of catatonic state, where the guy is kind of
he's in shock.
He's in shock. And at that time I was reading a book. I have read a lot of books by this guy and have had a good influence by this guy. His name is Thich Nhat Hanh. Actually 3 names, Thich Nhat Hanh. And he's from Vietnam. And he's a Buddhist monk who was very active in trying to bring peace to Vietnam. And actually, in the 60s, when the Vietnam War was going on, he came to the United States and he met Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Mm-hmm. And one of the highlights of his life is that he was nominated by Dr. King to receive the Nobel Peace Prize. He didn't receive the Nobel Peace Prize, but Dr. King wrote a letter to the Nobel guys up there and said, look at Thich Nhat Hanh and consider him for the Nobel Peace Prize. So at that time I was reading a book of Thich Nhat Hanh that he described as walking meditation. And this idea came to me of, okay, maybe we can do something. Maybe I can do something here. So the idea came up of doing a walking meditation, and that, grew up to be the Silent Peace Walk. At that time, still to this day, I am connected with a non-profit organization called One Planet United, and I contacted the city of Coral Springs, my friends at the city of Coral Springs, to the community relations there, that I had a good relationship with them, and said, hey, listen, what about doing a silent peace walk in the Peace Garden? We have a place in Coral Springs called the International Peace Garden. And they immediately said, that's a great idea. We have been thinking about things of doing there. Let's do it. So we quickly put together 2006. August of 2006, we put together, the flyers, the banner, and we started inviting people to come to the Silent Peace Walk. And so now it's 7 years. We have been doing this once a month. We get together the first Saturday of every month when the sun is coming up. And people actually ask me, why do you do it so early in the morning? I say, well, early in the morning is when there is still peaceful outside. You remember Karen saying, get up, get dressed, get going.
Right.
So 7 a.m., there's not a lot of people out there. There is a lot, but not a lot of people in the crazy mode of rush, 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 and move fast, as you described. People are kind of, okay, let me take time here. So we see the sun coming up. We listen to the birds, we see the trees, we see the breeze moving the branches of the trees and the leaves. The ducks come out and walk with us. Actually, they want food. But we watch the pond. We see, we see nature actually. And by paying attention and being alert, you kind of say, wow, this is a fantastic world. This is a cute place. And you kind of start to give thanks more. You just become more grateful, more thankful of, And then that's the idea that kind of evolved. That if everybody thought that the world is not a place of trial and tribulation, but the world actually is a playground and a garden given to us, by God, as you said. Say, you were born and God said, okay, here it is. It's your playground. It's your garden. Take good care of it. Share with one another, and you can have lots of fun. And that's, I think, that the mindset that would change a lot of things in the world and would make the world more peaceful. So that's the story of how the Peace Walk started.
Great story. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you for listening. And now we have a recording.